Love you at first sight. I met you on a fall morning when the wind blew your long hair, making it sway in the breeze. You had your big black eyes open, and your mouth pouting as if you were expressing your discontent. I burst out laughing, it was so adorable. I met you again that afternoon, sitting by the school's duck pond, holding a book and reading attentively. Your face was glowing as if you had found true happiness. And I stood far away, looking at you, feeling inexplicably stirred inside. In the days that followed, my mood in class was completely different. The first thing I did was to search for your figure, which gradually became a habit. Perhaps at that moment, you had already existed in my heart as something indispensable. Your gaze always made me feel excited, even if it was just a fleeting look. But I still felt very happy. Then one day, you didn't come to class, and I was startled. Was something wrong with you? My heart was throbbing with indescribable anxiety. That was when I realized that I had already fallen for your gaze. And I was even intoxicated by your cute and mischievous actions. Chuckling to myself, I asked, is this what it feels like to be in love? Thinking so, my little heart kept pounding as if it was an irrefutable proof. I burst out laughing, knowing that I had already found the answer. I asked my friends to come up with all kinds of ways to get to know you, like appearing as a hero to save a damsel in distress or boldly declaring my love for you in front of the class. Thinking of doing it, I bought some lollipops because I noticed that girls liked to eat them and went with my friends, but we hesitated and didn't dare to approach you. I paced back and forth under the building, not knowing what to do, and ended up taking out a lollipop and chewing on it. Can you imagine a well-groomed, handsome young man like myself standing there, chewing on a lollipop like a girl? Yes. That was exactly how I looked at that moment. It wasn't until I heard laughter and looked up to see you and some friends passing by, laughing at me, that I realized how ridiculous I must have looked. Embarrassed, I turned and ran back to class without looking back. After the lollipop incident, I still felt shy every time I saw you. It wasn't until a week later, when I saw you sitting alone on a stone bench and your friends looking at me teasingly, that I gathered my courage and walked up to you. But my heart was pounding, and my hands and feet were shaking. The words that came out of my mouth were supposed to be firm and resolute. But instead they came out timidly. Can I sit here? You looked up at me, your eyes widening and blinking a few times, then stood up and smiled lightly. Yes, you can sit here. I was still nervous for a moment after getting your consent, but you walked away, so I quickly ran after you and said, wait a minute, please. After that, I lowered my head so much that my chin almost touched the ground, and asked, can we talk for a while? Summoning all my courage, I lifted my head, wearing my most charming smile to catch your attention. But why did you suddenly transform from a petite girl who was laughing with me earlier into a towering figure with dark, tan skin? As I looked closer, you began to resemble the school security guard. Laughter interrupted my confusion, and I turned to see a person staring at me with suspicion. Oh no, wasn't that the security guard? I awkwardly smiled at him, then shifted my gaze to the figure ascending the stairs, and then to those unscrupulous friends of mine who were staring at me with wide eyes. Was anyone darker than me at that moment? Time passed quietly after that, and I continued to follow you every day. As autumn was coming to an end, I felt a tinge of sadness knowing that I was in my final year of high school. Graduating meant that I wouldn't be able to see you every day, which was akin to losing your smile. Feeling melancholic, I couldn't think of anything to do. I let out a sigh and looked towards the milk flower tree. And then a familiar figure caught my eye. There was also a young man beside you, reaching out to hold your hand. I held my breath, waiting for the next move. Instead of pulling away, you smiled and nodded, saying something to him. Looking at his face, I guessed that he was about to confess his feelings to you. His face was glowing, and he held both of your hands, jumping up and down like a child. I stood there, my heart cold and heavy, as if someone had poured a bucket of ice-cold water over me. The whole person was tired and depressed, leaning against the railing. I closed my eyes and swallowed bitterly. I was too subjective. I thought that she would only be mine, but I didn't realize that there were also many people around her who had feelings for her. I look at myself. It doesn't matter how good it is to be praised by everyone for being handsome. I couldn't blame anyone but myself for not confessing to you. It was just that my ears never heard the chance knocking. Brother, do your best. Interrupting my train of thought. A girl's voice sounded clear and crisp. I was about to turn a blind eye, but for some reason, I suddenly opened my eyes and looked down. She waved at the guy just now while walking, smiling happily. I rolled my eyes at her, rubbed my eyes with my left hand, and tapped my ear with my right hand. Did I hear wrong? Didn't he just confess to her? Why is she calling him brother? I know. Please remember to ask for me. I was even more surprised. So I'm not mistaken, she's his older sister. With intense joy in my heart, I ran down and stopped right in front of her. Excited but tired from running too fast, and said, "Hey girl. I love you so much." She stared at me, her face flushed white, perhaps from embarrassment. After a while, I thought she would leave me alone. When she smiled strangely. I don't understand why she laughs, but I still laugh along with her. She was about to open her mouth when she said, "Thank you." I looked at her in disappointment. She still smiled at me as if waiting for something. I tilted my head in confusion, a bright smile on my face. "Will you be my girlfriend?" The next fall, we always spend time celebrating that day. A beautiful day that will never be forgotten. Yes, everyone has a time to fall in love, and so do I.